No matter what's going on in the world, one of the things that I value is always getting to the foundation, always getting to the root, because it's at the root, it's at the foundation to where we get to figure out why we're doing these things in the first place. It's very important to me as a man. I don't know about you, but to me, as if I'm going to dedicate my life to something, I want to know why I'm doing it. And you would be surprised at how many guys get up and work and they have no idea why, the reason that they're doing it. And so the first thing that you have to go through is, first, you have to become conscious at the fact that the time, attention, and energy that you dedicate into things matter. Most people don't go through this, and that's how they end up having what's called midlife crisis, where they finally wake up for the first time and then they go out and buy a supercar or go out and try to get with like a really hot model or something of that nature, right? It's because they realize that they're a human being with wants and desires, and that they can make things happen in their life if they really wanted to. Well, because you follow this channel, or maybe you discovered it on your own, we figured out that we can do this a lot younger than being 45, 50, 55, 60, okay? So when you notice that you get to dedicate time, attention, and energy, the next question that you ask yourself is, well, what do I want? Right? And that comes in two forms. The first form is more of an immature form. It's more of a form of teenagers. Is you like, oh, I want a car, or oh, I want this, or oh, I want, which can be summed up to having a singular experience. Okay. However, as you get older, you realize that I don't want a singular experience, because a singular experience is exactly that, a singular experience. When you become more wise, you don't want just one thing to happen. You want a series of things to happen. Okay. Because again, a moment is a moment's gone. A moment's here, a moment's gone. A moment's here, a moment's gone. However, a series of moments is something that is constantly happening. And so just to make this much more easy to digest, just imagine if you had a family. It's like, oh, I want a family. See, having a family isn't a one-time thing. You get what I'm saying? Because once you have a family, you now have a family. And every single day that you're with your significant other, you have a family. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we start to realize. However, in order to become something for a singular moment, that is easy, right? I can live like a rich person for a day. All I can do is rent everything out. However, living like a rich person for a long time, for a series of moments, that's a little bit more difficult because it requires different things in your life. Same thing for whatever it is that you want to be, okay? So we understand that there's who we are to live in a singular moment and who we have to become in order to live in a series of different moments. So what we're working on right now is, in order for you to become who you are for a series of different moments, you realize that it's a different puzzle pieces that you have to work and build to build who you are, that is able to sustain that series. Okay, so let me make this make sense. Right? Anybody can have relations with a woman, like sexual relations with a woman. That's very easy. Who you have to be in order to get that is very simple, right? I hope that's very simple for you guys, right? But in order to keep a relationship, you actually have to be a person of value. You get me? You have to be a boyfriend, or you have to be a husband. That's different from being a person who just somebody sleeps with, because somebody who sleeps with, that's here and gone. Does that make sense? So whenever you are starting to become a person who is trying to live out your life, a series of moments, whatever it is that you want, whether it's a family, whether it's a career, whatever it is that you want, I'm not here to tell you what you want. What I am here to do is I'm here to break the mentality that you were born with in order for you to then make room for the mentality that you have to adopt to then live out the person that you're trying to be. Does that make sense? Okay. So why am I telling you this? What does this have to do with anything? This has to do with anything because what I'm about to explain to you, and the reason why I had to go into that whole 3-4 minute rant, is because I need this to make sense. And in order for me to touch the part of your brain where this makes sense, pause. In order for me to get to that point, I have to disable your, what do we call it? Your mental defenses. And by me disabling it, it's really me making you aware of it so you can disable it. You're the only person that can do it. Okay? Every brain has a mental defense. And the reason why you have this mental defense is because the way that you see the world needs to be protected. The way that I see the world is different from how you guys see the world. It's different from the next man to see the world. It's different from the next woman how sees the world. We all look at the world differently. We have some general things that are the same, but for the majority, we all live very much different lives. And so we see the world very differently. And it all depends on our beliefs and our mindsets. So what I'm going to do for you right now is I'm going to help you trigger those mental defenses in your own mind. That way you can be aware of what it is that I'm talking about. Okay, are you ready? So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, right? I know a lot of people get carried away in their emotions. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but I want to show you the power of the mental defense, all right? So what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to say the F word and then follow that with God, okay? So I want you to say F God. I want you to say the whole thing, right? What's going to end up happening is I'll say like 10% of you guys, you're atheist, you don't really care anyway, so you're just going to say it. Nothing, real easy breezy. However, for 90% of you guys, there's no way on God's green earth you're going to say that. You're not going to say it. And usually why you're not going to say it is because, again, you have mental defenses. This thing protects your worldview. And a lot of you guys at the foundation is God. And so you would never in a million years say something like that because, again, it's protecting your worldview. That's what I'm saying. I'm not actually believing that you guys are going to say this, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you activate those mental defenses where even at the thought of you saying it messes you up. You get what I'm saying? You guys get the example? So again, when I talk to you about this subject, you're going to notice you're going to have a little bit of mental defenses pop up. And so I'm not asking you to change your worldview or anything about that. I'm just telling you like to chill because even the F God thing, a lot of guys will be like, I got to get away from him. I can't say this. I got to pause the video. I got to get out of here. Right? Because that's what the defense is for. It's made to protect your worldview. However, the reason why I'm even giving you guys this in the first place is because the worldview that you have no longer serves you and you have to update it or get rid of the old one and rebuild a new one. So what am I trying to tell you? What am I going to tell you about this as far as evolution? Well, the way that you think about the world has been given to you and been reinforced over time. However, it was strictly due to the society, your environment that you were growing up in, and it's a completely separated ideology from how it actually is in the game of life. MD, explain. The rules that you follow in society is a completely different rule set than life has for you. And you have to remember that you are in the game of life and not in the game of society. Life is at the very foundation of everything that we do, and society is a couple layers after that. Does that make sense? And so when I ask you what are the rules of society, you can tell me the rules of society, at least, a couple ones, don't steal, don't kill, you know. But when I ask you what are the rules of life, it becomes a lot more clouded because a lot of guys aren't rooted in the game that actually matters. And because of that, you're getting confused on why some people aren't following the rules of society and are still winning. However, they are following the same rules of life. So let me give you an example. What is the number one rule of life? The number one rule of life, the first rule of life is, what is it? Give me a guess. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, enough time. The first rule of life is survival. You understand what I'm saying? The first rule of life is survival. And the gift that we have that is life, the moment that you stop following rule number one, it is taken away from you. You get what I'm saying? The moment you stop, you disobey rule number one, which is survival. The moment you stop doing that, you no longer have access to the game of life. It doesn't matter if you're a good person. It doesn't matter if you could get any girl you want. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you do as far as the things that you contribute to other people or society. It doesn't matter. You mess up rule number one in the game of life, it's over for you. It's curtains. You get what I'm saying? So that tells you that it doesn't matter if you're a good person, a bad person, or whatever type of person you believe that you should be. You break rule number one in the game of life, it's curtains, it's over for you. So what does that mean? Understand this. The rules that govern life is different from the rules that govern society. See, you can be a horrible human being in the game of life. You can be the worst person on the planet in the game of life. If you are following rule number one, you get life. Period. Point blank, period. You could cross your own parents, cross your own family, cross anybody who's ever made, cross in anybody. But as long as you're following rule number one, life is still gifted to you. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So why am I saying that? Why am I giving you this? Because I need you to understand that the model that you base winning on is not the same model that is winning in life. A lot of you guys follow man-made models like the karmic model. What is the karmic model? The karmic model is just karma, right? You do good deeds, you get good things done unto you. You do bad things, you get bad things done unto you. And on some level, there's a percentage of human beings where that is absolutely true. But on average, it is not true at all. And we can see this in society. How many people have we seen who are absolute garbage human beings, and yet they're still winning, yet they have the body, yet they have the money, yet they have the girl, yet they have the children, yet they have the lifestyle? How many have we seen? Now, what a lot of people do, they have to cope. They say, oh, they have all this stuff now, but eventually it's going to catch up with them. Guys, we've seen plenty of people who have done wrong to the world. We've seen it. And what happens at the end? Nothing. They've programmed you to believe that good guys always win. If good guys always win, we wouldn't have sayings that say things like nice guys finish last or the good die young. These are sayings. These aren't things I made up. These are sayings that you know. And the reason why we have these sayings is because the rules that govern life is completely different than the worldview that was given to us by society. You understand what I'm saying? So again, a lot of guys, it's very hard as a man, in order for you to become a certain person, to live the life that you want, you have to adopt a certain mindset. Now again, I'm not saying be a bad person or none of that. What I'm saying is there are certain things that are holding you back that are the rules of society and not the rules of life. And here's how we get a little bit deeper, because even, and again, be careful on this, even the rules of society aren't 100% your friend. We see all the time people do not follow the rules of society and still win. We see it all the time. If you don't know anything about the banking system, or if you don't know anything about corporations, guys, we see these people cheat all of the time. We see it all the time. The financial crisis. Let me say this before I get into that. Banks, really big banks, will have a budget of a couple $100 million, maybe even a couple $1 billion, where it's in their expense report to pay for fines because they're breaking the rules when it comes to the game. But because they're making more money, they're just like, oh, we'll just pay that fine because we make more money at the end of the day. Did you guys know that? You're breaking the rules, you're breaking laws, and you're still being rewarded for it. You hear me? Now, again, a lot of you who are new to this may be like, oh, that's far-fetched, blah, blah, blah. But even if we look at the financial crises that happened, banks lost the game. And guess what happened? They got bailed out. You know what a bailout is? They got bailed out. They messed up. What happens is the I'm not going to get into the details of it, but essentially they lost their money and the whole system is crashing. And guess what government does? They came in and they bailed them out. Your small business will never get a bailout. It's not going to happen. You lose in this game, you're done. Finito. You understand? You break the rules with your little small business, done. Finito. You're getting checked by powers that are bigger than you. But again, that just goes to show you that there are some people out here who are literally cheating. They are cheating. Guys, go look up white-collar crimes. There are guys who do white-collar crimes, stealing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're serving 10 years in jail. And here's the thing, in prison. And here's the thing, they're not even in regular prison. They're in white collar prison. Did you know that? Did you know that there was white collar prison? Look them up. It's it's a completely different game for people. But again, if you were growing up under the kumbaya, work harder, yada, yada, you'll believe that, oh, I can't do that. That's against the rules. Whole time, these people are destroyed. They don't care about these rules because, again, the rules for society is not the rules for life. And I understood this fully when I started traveling because I realized that each society, or servers, how I like to say it, each society has different rules. They have different rules. And so what's normal here is not normal there. And what's normal there is not normal here. And while, again, they all have a little bit of the same similarities, there are a lot of rules that are different. And so you ask yourself, you're like, wait a minute. I've damn near built my whole personality around the rule set of my society. Whole time you're realizing it's not serving you. Guys, look at the world right now. You have OnlyFans, you get what I'm saying. OnlyFans models, degenerate content creators, people who are just not good individuals, who are winning. They're richer than you. They have a better body than you. They have better relationships with you. The society treats them better than you. You get what I'm saying? But whole time, you're doing everything right and you're still broke. Now, again, watch this, because of what usually happens is when a person they cheat their whole life, or they're doing dirty by people, that catches up to your conscience, right? And sometimes even some people aren't even wired that it doesn't even affect them that way. But let's say that it did, right? Now, after their millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you understand? They're like, wow, guys, I'm depressed. You guys ever seen those rich people who make like videos, or content creators who make videos like that? I'm depressed. I'm sad now, right? You're doing the same thing, doing everything right, and you're still depressed. You can't afford bills. And guess what the difference between you and them? They can afford help. They can go to a psychiatrist or a therapist and pay for that outright. And then the therapist is like, well, you need to change your diet. You need to get around people. You need to adopt hobbies. They have the money for that. They have the money, the social reach. They can do it all. However, you can't do that. But wait a minute, MD. I did everything right. Yes, we're starting to realize that. We're starting to realize that as a society, the people who are doing everything quote unquote right are getting dutied on. You understand? We've learned this through women. Women will say, I liked good guys, or I like good guys. You just got to be funny. Be yourself. Whole time on the back end, there's a large portion of them who are getting their blacks blown out by degenerates. Listen, I'm not here to convince you. It's already there. It's only if you have your mental defenses up that you're not able to see it or not. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, bro. Whenever you start to evolve, because evolving is painful, bro. Evolving is painful. There's different types of pain. There's physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, psychological pain, right? And evolving is usually a mixture of different types of pain. And if you allow yourself to stop the evolution, what's going to happen, you're going to continue to be stuck on the level that you're at. And so especially if you follow God or you follow a creator, if they sent you to me, you have to ask yourself, why am I understanding this information? Why do I have to download this information? Take that and then go back to your creator and say, why did you tell me that? Why are you planting this seed into my mind? So they can explain to you what's going on. But that's what I'm trying to tell you guys, okay? So we're starting to wrap it up. But what I want to say to you is, listen, bro, there's layers to these things. And the rules of life and the rules of society are completely different. Because the rules of life are way more unforgiving and brutal than the actual game of society. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, and let me give you one, and then we'll wrap this up. In society, fighting is wrong. You understand? Fighting is bad. We're like, okay, if you have a disagreement with somebody, you shouldn't fight them, and then you'll get socially ostracized if you fight somebody, yada, yada. We get that. However, go look at nature. Fighting is encouraged. In fact, fighting is right along with rule number 1, which is survival. Because again, you don't survive, you're done. And here's the thing. This is where I know what I'm speaking is at the foundation that is true. Because we're not allowed to fight in society because as men, we've developed these rules, yada, yada. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. However, I need you to understand where it stands. Because the only reason why we even have a society to begin with, the only reason why we're able to even follow these rules instead of these rules to begin with, is because we use violence to uphold it. You understand what I'm saying? When people try to take over this country, we don't hug them. We don't write out documents and say, don't do that. We don't take them to therapy. You understand what I'm saying? We have a military. You get what I mean? There is no kumbaya when it comes to that stuff because, again, that's life. Life is you have to survive. The thing has to survive. And so what I'm trying to tell you is if you're a person, especially if you're the leader of your own life, you have to have this version of yourself that's rooted in life and not rooted in society. Because rooted in society, you're going to put a lot of roadblocks in your way. However, you're going to have a lot more room when you start playing the game of life. You understand what I'm saying? You might talk to somebody a certain way because you're operating in the game of life. You understand? And what you realize is when you start playing the game of life, people at a fundamental level respect it. Because at the end of the day, even though a lot of people are lost and they're asleep, we understand rule number one. A lot of us understand rule number one, which is why you'll never put yourself in a compromising position that gets rid of rule number one. You get what I'm saying? And so what I'm trying to tell you is this, instead of using that as a reflex, use it as a foundation. Say, what in my life have I been listening to society and not been listening to life? Because life gives you a lot more lee room, as you can see. You get me? So that's what I want to know. Let me know if you guys resonate with this, of what you think in the comments. If you made it this far, type in made it. Right? Subscribe if you want to subscribe. Like the video if you want to like the video. And with that, guys, I'll see y'all on the next one. All right? Peace out.